Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Solidity programming language which we'll be using to write smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. Before starting, I would like to quickly introduce myself. I'm Amrisha Kakoti and I'm working as a software engineer at Caper Solutions Private Limited. Caper is a leading provider in Datalake, cloud implementations, IoT, blockchain, analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep learning, and mobile application development. So without any further ado, let's get started with today's video. So the topics we'll be covering in this video are: what is inheritance, single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multiple inheritance, and finally encapsulation. So let us start with what is inheritance. So inheritance is one of the most important features of object-oriented programming languages, and even Solidity supports it between contracts. By inheritance, we can define multiple related contracts through a parent-child relationship. The contract that is inherited is called the parent contract, and the contract that inherits is called the child contract. The inheriting contract is known as the derived contract and the parent is known as the base contract. Inheritance facilitates code reusability. There is a relationship between the base and the derived contracts. Basically, the compiler copies the base contract bytecode into the derived contract bytecode. We use the is keyword for the purpose of performing inheritance. Now let us start with what is single inheritance. So in single inheritance, all the functions and the variables with the public or the internal visibility specifier and the modifiers and events of the base contract are inherited into the derived contract. So this is basically what the single inheritance looks like. So here we have this contract example 1, which is acting as a base contract, and here example 2 is inheriting this example 1 contract using this is keyword. So basically this is what the single inheritance look like. Now let us have a look at an example where we will be implementing single inheritance. So this is a very simple example where I'll be showing what single inheritance look like. So this is the first contract, that is the base contract, where we have a state variable and we have a function where we are simply returning the value that will be passing plus 10. And this is the derived contract which will be inheriting this base contract. And here in this function, so in the first function, what we are doing is that we are simply returning this function of the base contract with the value will be passing, and this function is simply returning this state variable of the base contract. And we have another contract, this one, where we are creating an instance of this base contract, sorry, the derived contract. This is where we are creating an instance of the derived contract using this new keyword which we have learned in our previous video, and this function is simply returning the functions of this base contract and the derived contract. So let me quickly deploy this contract and see what the values we get. So if we deploy this first contract, that is the base contract, so we'll add the base value that I'll just provide 6 and we should get the value as 16. Yes, we are getting the value as 16. Next, if we deploy the derived contract here and deploy it, so this is the derived contract, we have deployed it, and this get base value, this is a function, that is this one. I'll show you. Yeah, this is the function. Okay, get base value. So what should it return? It should simply return us this value 50. So I'll just go to the console. You can see it is returning 50. Yeah. And next we have add base value, that is this one, this function it is calling, and I'll just give 6. Add is it should return me 16, so I'll just add base value is returning me 16. And we have another one, that is add derived value, that is this function. right? So what should it return? It should simply return, it is pointing to this function, and it should simply return whatever I'll be passing here plus 10. So if I pass 5 add derived value, it should return me 15. Yeah. Now let me deploy. Okay, I'll just cancel this out just to make space, and I'll deploy the third contract in which we have created the instance of this derived contract. So yes, so display inheritance. Now we'll just open the console, and here we can see these are the outputs. So what is the first thing that we have passed here? We have passed this C, that is the instance of this derived contract, and we are calling the function of the base contract, that is add base value, and we are passing 70. So it should return us 80 because this is the function that it is calling, and it should return us 80. Okay, 70 plus 10 is 80. And the next one is add derived value, that is it is calling this function add derived value, this one, which in return is calling again the above function, this itself. And what is the value that we have passed here? I guess 5. Yeah, 5 plus 10, it's giving us 15. And this C dot get base value, so this is calling this function, and it should return us the base value, that is 15, this one. So this is how the single inheritance work. Now let me go back to my slides. Now let us talk about multi-level inheritance. So in multi-level inheritance, there are multiple levels of parent-child relationship. For if you consider this example, you can see this example 1 is the base contract, example 2 is inheriting from example 1, and here example 3 is inheriting from example 2. So there are multiple levels of parent-child relationship. So this is what the multi-level inheritance looks like. Example 2 is inheriting from example 1, and 3 is inheriting from example 2. Now let us look at an example of multi-level inheritance. So this is an example where I'll be showing how the multi-level inheritance work. So we have this contract 1, which is the base contract here, same as before. Then we have contract 2, which is inheriting from contract 1 using this is keyword. And we have this contract 3, which is inheriting from contract 2. Okay, so this contract 2 will have all the implementations of contract 1, right? Because it is inheriting from contract 1. And this contract 3 will have all the implementations of contract 2, which in turn will have all the implementations of contract 1. So this contract 3 will have the implementations of both contract 2 and contract 1. And we have another contract here in which we have created an instance of this contract 3, and we have this function where we have called the various functions of contracts 1, 2 and 3. So let me directly deploy this contract and see what it returns, and see if contract 3 has all the implementations of 1 and 2 or not. So let me directly deploy this inheritance contract. Yeah, so let me just open the console. Yeah, these are the outputs. So let me see what. So the first one, the thing we have passed is that object dot add value 1 7, that is it is calling this function, that is the function from contract 1, that is we are adding 7 to 10, that is 17. What is the next one? The next one is add value to 5, that is an function from this contract 2, and we are adding 5, which in turn is calling this function, and here when we add 5 we'll get 15. This. What is the third one? The third one is object dot get value 1. So this get value 1 is a function of this contract 2, which will return the value 1 from contract 1, that is 15, right? What is the fourth one? sorry, what is the what is the fourth one? Fourth one is object dot add value tree. So object dot add value tree is a function from this contract tree, which in turn calls this function of contract 2, which in turns call this function of contract 1. So we pass the value 10, so it's returning us 20. And what is the final one? The final one is object dot get value 2. So we have the get value 2 is a function from contract 3, you can see, yeah, which will return the value of contract 2 or value 2 from this 100. So this is basically how this multi-level inheritance works. So this is all about the multi-level inheritance. Now again, let me go back to my slides. Now let us talk about hierarchical inheritance. So in hierarchical inheritance, we have a single base contract and multiple derived contracts. So in this example, you can see we have the single base contract, that is example 1, from which this example 2 is inheriting and even example 3 is inheriting. So this is basically what the hierarchical inheritance look like. That is, we have the contract example 1 from which even this contract 2, example 2 is inheriting and example 3 is inheriting. Now let us have a look at an example of this hierarchical inheritance. So this is an example where I have implemented the hierarchical inheritance. So again, same as before, we have this contract 1, this contract 2 which is inheriting from contract 1. But unlike before, in the previous example, contract 3 inherited from contract 2, but here contract 3 is inheriting from contract 1. And again, here we have this contract in which we have created an instance of this contract 2 and even an instance of this contract 3. And we have these two functions where we are calling the functions of contract 1 using the instance of contract 2 and contract 3. Now let me quickly deploy this contract and see what the outputs are. So I'll just cross this out. Yeah. So I'll deploy this inheritance contract and I'll simply deploy it. So first of all, let us see what are the things that are returned by using the instance of contract 2. That one. So I'll simply open the console and see what the outputs are. These are the outputs. So let's see what did we return there. So in this, initially we returned add value 1 and we passed 7. So this is the function this. So 10 plus 7, it's returning 17. What is the next one? The next one is add value 2 and we passed 5. So add value 2 function is this one, which in turn is calling the add value 1 function here, and we have added 5, so the result is coming as 15. And what is the third one? The third one is object.getValue1, so which belongs to this contract 2, and this getValue1 simply returns the value 1 of contract 1, that is 50, and even the output here is coming as 50. Now let me see what are the values that we get when we just click on this one. Okay, so these are the values. So what did we return here? So initially we returned add value 17, that is a function from contract 1, so we just added 7 to 10, that is 17, it's returning. What is the next one? The next one is add value 3 and we are passing 5. That is a function from this contract 3, which in turn is calling the function add value 1, this one, and we passed 5, so it's returning 15. And what is the last one we had here? The last one is get value 3. So get value 3 is this one, which in turn is returning the value 1 of contract 1, that is 50. So this is how the hierarchical contract looks like. Now again, let me go back to my slides quickly. Now let us talk about multiple inheritance. So multiple inheritance is a mixture of single and hierarchical inheritance. For example, you can see here, we have this base contract as example 1, from which this example 2 is inheriting, and example 3 is again inheriting from example 1, and we have this example 4 which is inheriting from all the first 3 contracts, that is example 1, example 2 and example 3. And this is basically what the multiple inheritance look like. That is, we have this example 1, this example 3 and 2 are inheriting from this example 1, and this example 4 is inheriting from all the 3 contracts, that is 3, 1 and 2. Now let us have a look at an example of this multiple inheritance. So this is the example where I'll be explaining multiple inheritance. So this is the first contract, which I named as addition, and here we have 2 global state variables a, b, and here we have a function that simply adds this a and b. This contract multiplies inheriting from this addition, and here we have a global variable c of its own, and here we have a function that simply multiplies the values of a and b inherited from addition. Here we have a contract division, again it is inheriting from addition. Here we have a global variable of its own, d, and in this function it's simply dividing the values a and b derived from addition. And this we have a random contract where we are simply returning a random calculation of all the variables of all the above 3 contracts, that is addition, multiplication and division. And we have this contract here where we have simply created an instance of this random contract using the new keyword, and simply we have called the functions of all the above 4 contracts. Now let me quickly deploy this multiple inheritance contract, this one, and see what it outputs. So let me open the console and see. So yes, so let me see. So initially it is calling the addition function of the first contract as the addition contract, so it's returning 60, 50 plus 10 is 60. Then it is calling the multiply function of this multiply, which is returning a into b, that is 500. Then it's calling division, that is 50 by 10, it's returning 5. And finally it's calling the object.random, which is this one, which is returning the result of this calculation, which is 63. So hence it is able to access all the functions of the contract, of all the contracts that it inherits from. So this is what the multiple inheritance look like. Now let us talk about encapsulation. So encapsulation is a process of hiding or disallowing access to state variables. It also refers to the pattern of declaring variables that cannot be accessed directly in order to change its state. Encapsulation helps in constrained access to variables, and in order to do so, it has the visibility modifiers such as external, public, internal, private, which we have talked about in our previous examples. So this is all about encapsulation. Now let us have a quick recap of the topics that we have covered in this video. In the beginning, we talked about what is inheritance, then we talked about single inheritance, then multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, multiple inheritance, and finally encapsulation. Thank you for watching this video. In the next video, that is Introduction to Solidity Part 10, the topics I'll be covering are polymorphism, function polymorphism, contract polymorphism, method overriding, abstract contracts, interfaces. Kindly provide your valuable feedback in the comment section below and let us know of any topic you want us to make a video of or any issue you might be facing in your project. You may write to us at feedback@kpro.co.in. You can also subscribe to our channel if you want to learn more about technologies like blockchain, cloud, data science, ETL, data lake, DevOps, big data testing, cloud testing, etc. And you can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Thank you very much. Let's keep learning.